I'm Derek Schneider, and this is my ePortfolio presentation for my Fort Hays State University Educational Leadership Program. As you can see my picture here, working through my professional goals. Right now, currently, I am a little bit more motivated to stay in the classroom just for time purposes and my growing family, and so my professional goals reflect more of improvement in my classroom environment than they do in my administrative environment. Those personal goals you'll see, starting a new family. My wife and I were married last summer, and we are expecting our first daughter in September. We're also hoping to build a house this summer, and also want to continue working on my relationship with God, as always, every day, and just improving the relationships I have as I serve the people I come in contact with each day. 2, 5, and 10 years, honestly, wouldn't mind be doing a lot of the same stuff that I'm doing right now. Obviously, I want to improve personally and professionally, but as far as being in the right place, I think that I've got that pretty much where I want to be. My philosophy of education here basically kind of gives you a roadmap of how I got to where I'm at a little bit, and kind of the priorities that I have in my purpose statement. A lot of transformational and servant leadership ideals that I have in there, and just talking about improving the lives of my students, and not just being in the classroom to earn a paycheck and have summers off, but basically the opposite of that. We want to develop young people with high integrity and high character. My program of study, currently finishing up ed research, supervision and evaluation of personnel, and intro. We'll finish those up this semester. My resume, you can see, has a lot of Sterling High School and Sterling College on there. I also taught a year at Belle Plaine and was an assistant basketball coach there. Some of the activities I had at Sterling College were football and also AmeriCorps, and I feel like this AmeriCorps deal was very helpful in what I needed to do as a teacher, because I worked a lot with the special education department at the high school at that time. I'm going to go through my activities. I'm going to go through the high school first. So we had our preview night. It was the first kind of big thing of the year, and I was the administrator, supervisor, a lot of that stuff, and then I had football. But this was important because it's kind of our first big thing and our first big connection to the community, and kind of opening our doors to them. Kingman basketball tournament. Our administration couldn't come over there for a couple nights, so I was an acting administrator, which gave me the responsibility to supervise both teams, boys and girls, and also be responsible for issues with community members and fans, etc. Had a small issue on the way home with one of our girls' team members who had some trouble breathing, so kind of had the experience to call the ambulance and keep everybody calm and get everybody onto one bus and continue the trip home. We were about 45 minutes from home at that point, so it was pretty interesting, but everything worked out fine. Here's our IEP and our SIP meetings. So that's just some email correspondence on that of one of those IEPs. But basically, pretty similar from one to the other. Talks about each student individually, and hear a little bit from general education teachers and where they're at, a little bit from the special education teacher, and decide if continue that IEP or SIT, or to make some adjustments to it. Winter sports meeting. This is something we just started a couple years ago. We've always had the fall sports meeting, but we've noticed that this has kind of cut down on some issues that we've had in our winter sports, as far as negative parent experiences, and it just kind of lets you go over some expectations for the year. Our CTE advisory board meetings, as a lot of districts are moving more towards CTE classes. These advisory board meetings are becoming more common, but they're important because as an administrator, it is a time where outside people are coming into your building, and just safety issues and presentation of your facilities issues. So those were things that we kind of talked about. This was a big one for me, this Blackboard design, setup, and bookkeeping, because It really implemented a lot of stuff that we learned in our school finance class, just with our bookkeepers and our payment process and activity accounts and those kinds of things. They were basically right out of our book and how we set those things up. We also did a grit book faculty study. So for about a month or two, once a week, we got up before school and came in and just had some good fellowship with some faculty members and just discussed the book and the ways that we could implement those kinds of things into our classroom and use the issues that were in the book to improve our students' achievement. The schedule was something that was really cool that we did. We were trying to figure out a way to get weightlifting into our athletic program curriculum throughout the school day, and so basically we got some permission because the principal was looking to get some things cleaned up in the schedule as it was with our lunch our lunch timing and stuff. So we basically revamped the entire schedule and moved some things around. Got a lot of feedback from teachers, worked with them, got some feedback from the principal and the office and kitchen staff, and worked with them to kind of get those things all taken care of. And in the end, we got a product that we were very happy with that was implemented our full-scale weightlifting program and also kind of cleaned up some of the other stuff. Elementary didn't have as many of those. I'm not down there as much, but worked with the Christmas program as kind of our props and costumes organization, and then also was the supervisor that night on duty to make sure everything went well. Youth Basketball Academy, this was something that we do with the grade school kids 3rd through 6th, and so this year as the administrator, I worked with elementary office staff and the elementary custodial staff to make sure everything was on the schedule, cleaned up, kind of worked with parents on making sure that they understood that their kids were not going to be done with school at 3:20, but they'd be done at 4:20, and how that worked with rides and stuff after school, etc. Sat in an elementary IEP that was, was different than the high school one because a little more in depth. I felt like the parents at these ones were just a little bit more invested, maybe you might say, but they were more concerned about what was going on in their children's educational experience, and so it was good to hear those things. And it was very well attended by pretty much every special education person that we had, including speech therapists, general ed, paras, special ed chairman. Also sat in on a staff meeting and discussed with the principal before and after kind of what that would look like. Pretty similar to our high school staff meetings. Talked a lot about the daily, weekly, monthly happenings of the school and around the school, and then kind of general questions and concerns from the staff. Coordinated an elementary art show at our community center, so had to do some correspondence with the board of the Student 96 Community Center, get on their calendar, discuss kind of the general practices that they were expected from us. And so that was really fun for the students to see and again have those connections to the community. Had parent-teacher conferences down at the grade school, just observation basically. The administrator on duty, basically the same as the high school stuff, but like the IEPs, it just seemed a little bit more well attended, more in-depth maybe even, but the parents just seemed a little bit more engaged with their students' educational process. District level, the first one was our big district in-service at the beginning. So this is one of my first things that I did, and basically handled the transportation to and from and getting that scheduled and how that went over well. And then just kind of went through the agenda and the things that we went through as far as suicide prevention and intruder safety. Had a lot of issues with this gym floor repair. It was peeling, which is the first time we've ever had anything like that at Sterling, and so we kind of got in a lot of the legal issues of what we were and were not liable for and how that worked, and in the end we feel like we got what we needed to have done, and that's to basically have them come in and take that off and refinish it at their expense. Did some STA negotiations. This first one was very well spoken through with the principal of both buildings, the staff members, and the superintendent, and I just was able to kind of get the kind of informal meetings with the superintendent on how that looked, both as an STA president and as a superintendent. This year was interesting because we had our superintendent is leaving at the end of this year, so we had a big search process for a new superintendent, and I was able to take advantage of that and kind of talk through those issues with our current superintendent and also our current principal, who was a finalist for that job, and just to kind of talk through all the things that would happen with that new position. Attended our HOA league meeting because it is our first year in this new league, so I did all of my personal things that I needed to do as far as graphic design and basketball, but also then kind of sat in on some of the administrators' meetings and listened to them discuss things like community involvement and a lot of stuff that had to do with athletics, actually. Sterling Invitational, this is kind of our big midseason basketball tournament. It's probably the biggest thing that we do as far as exposure from other communities, and it's a big thing. So we revamped our program and our website and just kind of improved some of our other things to give a better experience for the people that were coming into Sterling. It's 5th and 6th grade rec basketball on a weekend. I was the acting administrator for that and just kind of set up the concessions, made sure the teams were all there, made sure the facilities were kept in good order, and worked with our custodial staff. Also worked on some STA negotiations. This is one of the letters that we talked about. So this was for this year. And once again, just talked with the building principals and the superintendent on the things that we needed to get done. And also this shows you that we talked about early retirement and some continued health benefits. During one of our classes, we had this interview of our special education personnel, and that just was really cool because we were able to do that with the elementary and the high school and just get some really good feedback on just how the process worked and the perspective of all those involved in our special ed department. I attended the Kansas Athletic Directors Association conference in Wichita and just was able to kind of follow some athletic directors around, get their perspective on some things, talk to them, network, discuss the needs and the concerns that they have currently. Sat in our transportation meeting for this month and just looked at the process of scheduling and looked at the process of what we actually have as far as our fleet and how that works with our limited bus driver numbers and just kind of getting all those things coordinated. Okay, my annotated bib. So on my annotated bib, I've got my 10 articles, a ton of stuff with transformational leadership there, and going through each of those kinds of things. I'm going to pull this thing up. Each of these articles just kind of gives overviews of things that I had during my class that are relevant to what I would have in my current classroom and also as a building leader. So you can see my activity log here. Not everything has been time-stamped and gone through, but everything, all my 150 hours are through. My faculty evaluation tool is here. My administration evaluation. So you can see that I have this signed by our building principal, Dr. Anderson, and that he has approved those things. The last part that I have on here is my reflection. And really the biggest thing is, I'm going to click it over here, is that, I learned a lot through this process. And when I first started, I kind of thought there's probably not a lot that I don't know already, but it turns out there was a lot that I don't know. And I felt like the program really prepared me. I think the biggest classes, honestly, were the school finance classes. And the special ed for school leaders were the biggest classes that I had no idea what I didn't know. And so that is my reflection. That is my overall video. Thank you for watching.